Hello and welcome to Claw's YouTube channel. Today we have once again Brigadier R.K. Bhatia covering one of the major neighbors of India, which is Myanmar. And Myanmar has been in the news since the last almost 4 to 5 months since the Three Brotherhood Alliance decided to take up arms with Tatmadaw. We shall cover about that slightly later. The aim of this YouTube is to essentially prepare staff college aspirants to focus and write their answers correctly on current affairs, going about their studies in a methodical manner. And for that, the cloth has prepared some notes, and we will give a brief glimpse of what these notes are. And then in the end, I shall briefly also cover the current situation uh, as to exactly what is happening in Myanmar. So over to you, Brigadier Bhatia, with this.
Thank you very much, sir. As we had promised, sir, last time we had done Nepal and Bhutan, and on this occasion, we will now handle Myanmar. Sir. India and Myanmar relationship, in fact, they can be governed by the two very important aspects. One is the timeline, the historical connect between these two countries. Since
Yeah.
ancient times, Buddhism, and 80% of Myanmar population are Buddhists. That has spread from India into Myanmar. And the type of Buddhism that is there is Theravada, which is practiced in the southern part of India. So that probably shows that the religion had moved through the oceans. That is from the southern ports of India to Myanmar.
Okay.
Then the Britishers came, and Myanmar, or that time Burma as it was known as, was used to be administered from India as part of a province till 1937. And Burma is known for producing good quality rice. So that is the time Britishers were keen to take control of this situation. And as the imperialism said, they used to take rice from here and move it to the European countries. After we attained independence in 1947, and Burma did accordingly in 1948. The diplomatic relation between the two countries was established in 1951. But in 1962, there was a military coup, and General Nevin took over as the military dictator. So that is the time actually India moved away from Myanmar, because we were at that occasion champions of democratic norms and the way our polity at that time was. We in fact stayed away from Myanmar primarily because of the military coup and atrocities which were being committed by the military leadership on the population. Eventually, we had few losses, and now we have changed our stance, because we feel that irrespective of the type of government, that's the business of the people of that country. Our engagement for our geopolitical and economic gains should continue irrespective. We shouldn't be standing as a referee that which country should be governed by which forms. 2015, finally, sir, Aung Suu Kyi, NLD, that is, won the elections and it formed the government. But in 2021, NLD, despite its victory, the military dictators did not permit her to form the government. So it is, as of now, also military rule which is going on in Myanmar. Now let's look at the strategic significance of Myanmar. We share 1,643 kilometers of land borders and 725 kilometers of maritime boundary that is in the Bay of Bengal. It borders four states, that is Mizoram, Manipur, Nagaland, and Arunachal. Now, all these four states, as it is, have restive, the population is restive. There are ethnic issues, there are incidences that are going on. So Myanmar does serve as a sort of safe sanctuaries for these states. Geographically, Myanmar is a gateway to Southeast Asia. Its borders are highly porous, they're very poorly guarded, and the terrain is so tough that's very difficult to guard each and every uh, inch of the border. That is why recently there's been a talk of fencing this border. But the problem with the fencing is that there is a regime called free movement regime of 16 kilometers, 10 miles. That is that citizens of both the countries can actually go up to 16 kilometers for even doing the trade. And this trade is exchange of the head loads, and it is not through money or anything. It's a barter system. However, there are official trade points also like More and Tamu that restricted items. There are a number of listed items that can be traded, and the trade is not across the board.
Brigadier Bhatia, I would just like you to highlight this head load, because this is something which most of the young officers would not know, except for those who have served in the northeast India. Head load concept of trade is something probably many would have heard it for the first time. Just give very briefly what exactly it means.
Sir, what happens is that it is the local produce that is put into the head load, and the restriction is that whatever you can carry on your head, you move across. Generally, it is the timber from that side, or maybe pulses or something, or the condition is that it is the local produce that can be exchanged, and it is barter. There is no money. In fact, there are occasions when people they maintain sort of account of what was given, and subsequently when there is produce, uh, after few months also it can be compensated for what it is, and it is purely barter system and local systems.
Okay. Okay.
So because of the porous borders, now the other problem which is coming is that insurgents can very easily come and go out of this border without being watched. Similarly, there is a huge influx of drugs as well as illegal, arms trafficking is also going on. Our viewers must have heard about the Golden Triangle, which is Thailand, Laos, and thing. So through this also there is a huge problem of in Thailand arms and ammunition are freely available, so they can be brought in. China is not doing a very good job of stopping this, especially they do stop going it into their country, but it doesn't mind if it is passing through their area and into India's. Then there is a huge problem of Rohingyas. We'll talk about Rohingyas slightly later. Sir. That what is the status of Rohingyas, and the problem is infiltration of these stateless people into India. And I have briefly mentioned about the move regime, which is now becoming a challenge. Geographically, if you really look at it, sir, there are two foreign policy doctrines or initiatives that have been taken by India. One is neighborhood first, and the second is act east. Myanmar is at such a location that this is important for India in case India wants to pursue these two foreign policy initiatives. Myanmar plays a very very crucial roles. For the benefit of our viewers, this is I thought I will flash a slide because we very often refer to the countries as part of South Asia, Eastern Asia, Northern. Starting from Northern Asia is generally the Russia. In fact, Russia is partially part of Asia and some part is in Europe. So combined, it is also called as part of Eurasia. Then you have Central Asia, Western Asia, Southern Asia, where India is located. And if you look towards Southeast, these group of countries are part of Southeast Asia, and Myanmar is the first nation or the only nation in Southeast Asia which shares a land border with India. Now, there are important countries like Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Singapore, Malaysia, which are all part of Southeast Asia. And the integration of India's economy with Southeast Asian economy is extremely important. And in case we want to do that, Myanmar provides us the route or the surface communication that is available to trade with these, emerge or fairly well developed economies. Similarly, Eastern Asia, it covers China, Koreas, both Koreas, Japan. So all these countries are part of Eastern Asia. Now, getting back to Myanmar, sir. Now we have a serious issue as far as insurgency in Northeast is concerned. Insurgent groups, especially the Naga groups, because they have commonality of ethnicity across the border, and because of that, they get free, safe havens inside the country. Though on occasion India and Myanmar have cooperated and they have fought together containing insurgency, there were two major operations, Sunshine 1 and Sunshine 2, which were conducted, which was successful in containing insurgency in Northeast. The golden triangle I have spoken about is Myanmar, Thailand, and Laos. Now, this is an important transit route for illegal drug trafficking. In addition, wherever there is a drug, we can safely assume that there will be weapons also, there will be human trafficking also, and the insurgents, they make money because of availability of this. I would say area where the surveillance is comparatively less.
Brigadier Bhatia, I would just like to highlight to the students that with reference to Golden Triangle, the students must realize, or the aspirants must realize, that it is deeply connected to the Golden Crescent. The Golden
Yes,
Crescent is in the area of Afghanistan, Pakistan, that belt. Now, what has happened is the Afghanistan Taliban government has come very heavily on opium production. So they have destroyed all opium fields in Afghanistan. As a result, the entire drug mafia and the drug cartel have moved to Golden Triangle, and so you can say it's almost doubled the kind of activities of drug trafficking, drugs manufacturing. Chemical factories have come up.
yeah,
Methamphetamine, there is
those
a chemical.
tablets.
Yeah, these tablets are the most demanded tablets. In fact, they are selling more than the opium, and has become a big menace, especially because of a insecure environment. People have started return, all those guys who had fled Myanmar, because the areas are now controlled by the rebels. They have returned back and they are doing bumper agriculture of opium. So this is one major thing which is having an impact on India also.
And
Thank
the
you.
problem is, sir, insurgents are, of course, encouraging it because they're getting the cuts, the money they are saying.
The problem is,
Unfortunately, the economy or the nation is not so good. Even the government agencies are, keeping a closed eyes on these areas.
Ab- ab- absolutely. Basically, what why I highlighted this was that the drug menace has become a major factor now. Earlier, it was not that. I mean, it was there, but it was not to the level now. What it is.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
India's a sorry. India has
Go ahead.
been supplying arms to Myanmar and also the engineering equipment as well as tanks, transport planes, and naval crafts. But we are not able to match the deep pockets of China. Because 80% of the military equipment which the Myanmarese army uses today is of Chinese origin. We have a intelligence sharing and training of Myanmar military personnel memorandum of understanding which exists, and officers and men from Myanmar very frequently come to us for trainings. Sir, it's very important because China is also a neighbor of Myanmar, and in fact, there's a very interesting book called Where China Meets India, and the author actually talks about Myanmar in that case.
Okay.
China and Myanmar, they share a border of about 2,100 kilometers, and Myanmar is a very important location for OBOR, that is One Belt One Road initiative of China, where they are actually trying to avoid the Malacca dilemma, that is connecting the port, that is Kafiku port, to the Yunnan province through a corridor, that is a Mekong River corridor. It is akin to the CPEC in Pakistan. what CPAC is there in our western border. In eastern border, this is the CMAC, that is the China Mekong economic
China,
corridor.
yeah, actually it is China,
China Myanmar.
Myanmar,
Sorry, not
Chan,
Mekong. It's along the Mekong River. That's why it's
yeah, China, Myanmar Economic Corridor. It's like
that's it.
CPEC. They are trying to flank India from both sides, basically.
So, like other countries like Sri Lanka and even I'll say Pakistan, Myanmar is also under debt, and 40% of Myanmar debt is because of China. This is the problem with wherever the governments are not stable, whether it is Pakistan or it is Myanmar. The authoritarian government, to tide over the immediate problems, they are rushing to China, and China is not asking them any questions and giving them loans, and
Yeah.
then they are getting trapped into the debt, and that is how they are being forced to take decisions which at times strategically hurt India. And like I was mentioning, 80% of Chinese military equipment is being used by the Myanmar army. However, India has advantage over China in Myanmar. No, we have always invested now, whether it was in Afghanistan or it is in Myanmar, we have always invested in development and human capital formation loans, while China is always getting into the debt trap diplomacy. China is keen on constructing infrastructure which it can use, whereas our whenever we are providing the assistance to any country, in fact, we spoke about Nepal, we spoke about China, it is always keeping the interest of the host country also in mind, which is not the
Okay.
case with China. No, India is a democratic country, and the aspirations of a common Myanmar is that they want to institute democratic institutions in their country. So India is a huge and very successful example of democracy.
Mhm.
And like I said, we are investing heavily into Myanmar. That is, Sitwe port has been commissioned, sir, and the Kaladan multimodal project, transit project. This also I will cover very briefly, slightly later. Myanmar is also part of the BIMSTEC, which I had spoken in the previous episode. We had given details of this, and the Indian Ocean Rim Association. And cultural ties cannot be denied. India is a birthplace of Buddhism. Even today, whenever a Myanmarese army personnel or a civilian dignitary visits India, it is his dream to go to Gaya, and
Mm.
we always facilitate that, sir. When I was here in Central Command, we used to always make sure that any delegation which is coming from Myanmar, or for that matter Sri Lanka, we used to definitely keep a day for them, and they used to be taken to Gaya.
Yeah, Sri Lanka, Japan, Myanmar,
Japan,
these are the
correct, sir.
countries. They are very keen to visit these areas.
Sir, Myanmar plays a very, very important role in the connectivity which India is looking at. One of them is the India-Myanmar-Thailand connectivity. Now, this connectivity, we had explained in the beginning, what does the Southeast Asia means. Once this connectivity is through, from More, which is part of India, there is a twin town Tamu, which is just across More. Road goes from Guwahati to Dimapur to Imphal, More, then to Tamu, and then enters into Myanmar, travels to Mandle, comes down and gets into Moisot, which is in Thailand. Now, the infrastructure, as far as India and Thailand is concerned, the infrastructure is ready. The only problem is within Myanmar. Once this infrastructure comes up, our markets and our raw material this thing will be it through this road we can travel right up to any country in Southeast Asia, including Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, all these countries, and look at the distances and time travel which will be reduced because of this road. And in addition to this, it will also promote tourism. It will also improve the cultural association between the two or three nations. So that is how India is looking at it. Let's see, sir, how what progress. As of now, it is. because of the problems in Myanmar that this is on hold. Then there's another very interesting project called BCIM. Now, here China is very keen to do it. The southern part of China, that is Yunnan province, Kunming. Kunming has come up a big as a big manufacturing hub. But the problem with Kunming is its connectivity. It's in case it has to get out of the Kunming, it has to travel almost about 1800 kilometers to the east sea coast and then get into the market. Whereas if this road is made, imagine the market which is available to the product which is being produced in Kunming in India, huge population, and about 20 crore odd population of Bangladesh. So China is looking at opening up to India and Bangladesh through this project. But as of now, again, it seems to be on the back burner because of the prevailing conditions there. As far as India is concerned, now if you see India's map, anything that has to go from Calcutta to Aizawl, uh, it has to either you have to have a transit route through Bangladesh for it to travel, which is not existing. It has to go right on top and about 28 kilometer odd, broad chicken neck, that is Siliguri corridor, through which so many roads and railway connections and fibers which are traveling. Probably this must be the density wise the highest number of connectivity is passing through Siliguri corridor. So accordingly, that is vulnerable also. On top from Chumbi
I,
Valley
uh,
and
Bhatia, I
sir.
always call this chicken neck corridor, which is extending from Siliguri right up to the Dwars area of Assam, as a imagine it as a vein of your body through which the blood which is required to function for that body flows. So
Mhm.
if this blood stops flowing, northeast will disintegrate
Collapse.
or collapse.
Absolutely.
So that
Absolutely.
is the level of importance of chicken neck, and that is why we are looking for, even through Bangladesh, we are actually
Yes.
negotiating with the country to have a waterway first, as also a roadways and also a railway. So
Also,
if that comes up, and then along with the Kaladan, which is a multimodal project, we will have three odd options for
absolutely.
us to reach northeast. That is the
Absolutely.
level of importance of this area we need to understand, and the aspirants must know very clearly, have this map in their mind, how to respond to such a question. Okay.
Sir, now that we are at it, I will just flash these maps.
Yeah.
See, anything going from Calcutta to Aizawl. I'll give some time for the viewers to get accustomed to the map. Okay. Now, this Kaladan model, multi-modal transit project is through Calcutta, through sea 539 kilometers of sea route to Sitwe, which India has developed. South of Sitwe is another port called Kaifu, which the Chinese have developed. So this is a counter to the port of Kaifus. From Sitwe, the river by the name of Kaladan, you know, the goods travel northwards against the flow of the water here because the river is flowing into Bay of Bengal. 158 kilometer through the inland water transport. There again, there is a transit at Palteva. It goes to by road to Kaletwa, then to Zoranpur is the border between Mizoram and Myanmar. So this is how it reaches. And even during, let's say, once this route comes up, even during hot war, this
Yeah.
multi-model project can be used. No,
Actually, these are options which India has to develop as our economy grows, as our interest grow, and as our threats also will grow in a
correct.
similar manner.
So we've spoken about these connectivity, sir. We go ahead. Now there can be two questions on connectivity. One we have already spoken about Kaladan. The other could be the India-Myanmar-Thailand highway. Now, this is in short what is the India-Myanmar-Thailand project. Like I had mentioned, it starts from More, the town is Tamu, goes to Mandle, Napatau. Napatau is the now new capital of Myanmar. It's no longer Yangon. Comes to Bago and then to Mao Sote.
Yeah.
So it enhances connectivity, trade and commerce. Naturally, new markets will be available. Tourism will be promoted. Regional integration would be there between India, Myanmar, and Thailand. Socio-economical development, strengthening. It will also strengthen the India's Act East policy and regional stability and prosperity, of course. And then, like any other infrastructure project that you develop, it will have very, very positive geopolitical implications on India as well as other countries. Kaladan, sir, we have already spoken about. There's another point, sir, I would highlight before we flash the questions about Rohingyas. There's a very interesting issue which I found. Why this name Rohingyas? One of the theory is that it comes from the Arabic word rahm, which means mercy. And the theory goes that in the 18th century, a ship of Arab traders, it wrecked near the Burmese coast. And he asked the local king, that is the Myanmarese king or the Burmese king, I say, for rahm. From Rahamiya, the person who were given mercy, it got converted into Rohingya. So this is one story. Then there is another theory which says that the dialect word Arakan in Rohingya's language, Arakan is the name of the present day Rakhine. In fact, till very recently it was called Rakhine only. I think till 80s that state was called Rakhines. Then
Yes,
the name was changed to Arakans.
that's right.
Correct. Other way around. It used to be called Arakan and now it is called Rakhines.
It's known as
So,
Rakhine State.
sorry, sir?
It is known as Rakhine State now.
Rakhine state now. Correct. Earlier it used to be called Arakans. So, person who belongs to that place, from there he was called Rohingya, which means inhabitant of Rohang. That is Arakan. So these are two theories. However, the fact is that in 1823, many Muslims from Bengal, that time Bengal was combined Bengal, they were taken by the British basically to work on the rice field. Now this is where I am connecting it, that the imperialist powers, they wanted their profit. So these Muslims at that time had migrated from Bengal and they came to Burma basically as laborers. But after 1948, when the Burmese got independent, these Muslims decided to stay put. Now, there
Okay.
was no issue till 1982 when suddenly one fine day, the Burmese or the Myanmarese government decided to impose something called 1982 Citizen Law of Myanmar, where they did not recognize Rohingya as the official ethnic group of Burma. So they said that any group which is not originated in the lands of or confines of Myanmar, present day Myanmar, they cannot, irrespective of how many generations in the past have stayed in that area, will not be considered as their own citizens. And in 2011, and this area is dominated by Buddhists. So there was a Buddhist monk, Ashin Vartu, who led the he led the violence against the Rohingyas. So there was a mass exodus of Rohingyas. Some of them went to Bangladesh. Many came to India. They went even to Thailand, and in a very, very dangerous conditions in open sea. These people are found traveling all over the world trying to seek refuge in some country. Even in Myanmar, those Rohingyas who are stayed back, they have been put in confined areas. They are ghettoized and they are prosecuted. So this is in brief, and so this community can be very very dangerous as far as internal security of any nation that they go into. Unfortunately, in our country also, they are being used for the political gains.
A very surprising uh, issue about this particular factor, Rohingya factor, is that even the national unity government, which is now currently established in exile, or not exile, but a parallel government headed by Aung Suu Kyi, the formally elected Prime Minister of Myanmar, did not support the Rohingyas.
Yes.
That's a very very sad story, that ultimately everybody has ganged up against the Rohingyas. Thank you.
And even in India, sir, we have not actually
Yeah. No,
for
actually, as far as in India is concerned, we have to manage them because there are elements
yeah.
which are using Rohingyas to cause or hurt India. So we have to treat them with caution. We have to carry out our necessary controls to ensure that only genuine people are, given the right to take refuge. And refuge means it's a temporary factor. You are supposed to go back after the situation becomes normal, and we hope that the situation in Myanmar becomes normal and the government of the day of that particular time is able to receive them. Yeah, sorry.
Hey, sir, with that, I come to the end of very briefly what I wanted to introduce the DSSC aspirants to this topic. Now, these are the questions which I, thought should be important, sir. And
Yeah.
these were given, and Clause has prepared answers for these questions. So quickly, I'll read these questions. Why are Indo-Myanmar relationship important? What are the steps taken by India to occupy strategic space between the two countries? What are the challenges in Indo-Myanmar relations? We have covered the entire gambit of Indo-Myanmar relations with those basic keywords and basic importance. This topic can be tackled by the students. Now, what are the steps taken by India for occupation of strategic space between the two countries? Here we can bring in the China factor. And if students have seen, I have actually listed out how India has an advantage over China as far as Myanmar is concerned. In fact, the points that are given here, they are equally applicable in almost all countries. Unlike China, who does not have ancient links with any of the Southeast Asian country. Now, tomorrow, when you talk about Sri Lanka, there is Buddhism. Today, we're talking about Myanmar, there is Buddhism. Nepal, Roti Beta, Beti, Bhutan, we have this. And then another good point which can be written is the benign sort of help that India is providing vis-a-vis the debt trap what the China is giving. So
Even
these I thought
Even Bhutan is Buddhism.
Bhutan is Buddhism. That's correct, sir. I think
Yeah.
red hats, if I'm not wrong, sir.
Yeah, there are different sects, but they are basically born from the same religion.
Correct. So challenges in Indo-Myanmar relations also we have touched upon, sir. The construction
Yeah.
of border, next question could be construction of border fence earlier by Myanmar and now by India has led to resentment among the people on both sides of the Indo-Myanmar border. Answer the following question briefly. Who are affected by the decision? What is the free movement regime? Why is border fence being opposed? What are the challenges and how it can be overcome? The beautiful write-up on this, sir. I read this in the answers that have been prepared by Claus. I very strongly recommend that aspirants should go in for the notes, and this will give. Very briefly, we have touched upon what is the actually what is the issue, but
Correct.
there are ramifications of this issue, long-term ramifications of this issue, because this is for ages that a local population is living the way it is, and suddenly one fine day you decide to put a end. But then, on the other hand, security of the nation is very important. Even if we have to, take away these liberties or facilities that we have given to the people on both sides of the borders, security cannot be compromised.
Correct.
Then write a short note on Kaladan multimodal transit transport
Yeah,
project. Again, we
you
have
already
covered.
covered that. You already
China
covered
has
that.
been making increasing inroads in Myanmar. How can it be counterbalanced by India? Same thing, more or less. We have covered what China is doing. These are the major issues. There are finer points also, and in fact, I would just like to, draw attention of the viewers, irrespective of whatever we may say. But the military government of Myanmar is probably the only government in the world, if I'm not wrong, which has taken the project away from China
Yeah,
because China was not delivering.
correct. Mekong
So
project has been cancelled actually.
cancelled, in fact. They had not
Yeah,
given it to China, sir.
yeah, absolutely. Uh,
So,
I think that is a wonderful exposition, Bhatia, and I'll only tell, although people have not joined for this live podcast because we did not give any notice. We just put it up on the YouTube about half an hour, 1 hour back. So adequate warning was not given to the people to know whether we are going to conduct this session. But next time onwards, we will give 4 5 days notice so that we have enough people who can join us. But doesn't matter. We will be sharing this now on various platforms, so all of you can link with this particular YouTube program and go through it in detail. You have the slides on this, so you can pause, look at those slides, and make your notes. Also, I will briefly just cover the latest on Myanmar so that people don't feel that we have left you halfway through. First of all, the latest situation as far as Myanmar is concerned, internal situation is volatile. The rebel groups are primarily led by three Brotherhood Alliance, which is MNDA, TNLA, and Arakan Army. The PDF, which is the armed wing of National Unity Government, is fighting a separate war. The PDF is divided itself into commands: North Command, Southern Command, Eastern Command, like, and they have. It is estimated that they have a strength varying from 50,000 to 100,000. That is the rough estimate. But each command has roughly 1 to 2 brigades. They are all fighting the Tatmadaw, which is the military, Myanmar military, which is there. Myanmar military's morale is very low. Almost 60% of the land is now controlled by the rebel groups. That is one thing which you all should be aware of. The second thing is that Rohingya problem. There have been some developments recently that there were some Indians who have been held hostage in the Rakhine state. Details have not come out. Only one article has come out. So if keep a watch on it. If something develops on this, you must be able to know about it because it is directly affecting India. Drug menace, I have already covered that. Why it has become more serious in Myanmar, and finally, the influx of Tatmadaw soldiers into India and the refugees of Myanmar into India is a major problem as far as we are concerned. So therefore, this is the latest as far as Myanmar's internal situation is concerned. China is supporting both the rebel groups as also the Tatmadaw. So somewhere there is a dichotomy in the Chinese approach, or the Chinese are betting that should there be any other. Should there be a role reversal, in the sense that if the Tatmadaw is not able to control the country, then they have some leverage with the rebel groups, especially the MNDA, which is in the north and operates from north to south around the northern borders with China. So therefore, northern border of Myanmar with China. So China is playing a double game. India is still reposing its faith in the fact that junta, maybe military junta, that is Tatmadaw, may be able to control the situation. But India will also have to rethink its position because uh, Arakan Army has said that they would like India to carry on with the Kaladan project, the multimodal project which we were talking about. So therefore, these are the new developments. Just a map is also shown to you so that you know the kind of development, kind of 60% of the area which is there is now controlled by the rebel groups. With that, I would like to thank Brigadier Bhatia for having spared his time and effort to cover this program. Till we meet next time with another country and another set of backgrounders and questions for you. Uh, Goodbye, and uh, wish you all the very best for the entrance examination of Staff College. Jai Hind.